So if you look to the heritage narrative of Sheffield, you hear a very white working class story, but it's a much more diverse city than this. So right now, cities like Sheffield need to look at the populations that are living in those cities and rewrite and develop heritage policy and engagement in ways that really reflect the true voice of the people. Roots and Futures is a place-based cultural heritage project, and we work with histories and stories, particularly from communities who have been underserved by heritage policy.
With archives, especially like living and community archives, you can't just be there in a desk and cataloguing. You have to be out in the world and asking people questions, and how are you supposed to reflect the community if you're not represented or talking to them? To start any conversation, you just always have to bring like food, specifically like cake. So taking like tea and cake and just visiting one of their meetings and talking to them. One conversation has a massive repercussion in understanding like culture, identity and like the longevity of that. By the end of it, no one can like stop talking, so that means I did the job right.
So one of the benefits that is associated with participating in heritage projects like Roots and Futures is an increase in sense of well-being. One of the participants in our project with Park Library's Black Ladies group explained that after working on the project, she had felt an increased sense of pride, and that collectively as a group they felt proud of what they'd done. So this project's really important in Sheffield right now because we're going through a big period of change. There's a huge amount of investment developing the city, but there's also a lot more thinking within our policymakers and our council about culture and heritage policy and strategy.
In terms of the heritage strategy, we needed to get the council to adopt this, and to our great delight, they actually have. But it doesn't end there. We've also formed a Heritage Partnership Board to try and spread that message to these other institutions such as the universities, the NHS and so on.
So Roots and Futures got funding from the AHRC Place programme. It was incredibly valuable for us because it allowed us to focus on a meaningful scale within the city of Sheffield, but also it provided the sort of support that allowed us to pay for community partners to invest in the project, and also enabled us to fund people to work with us so that we could value their time and their input. There's lots of learning that can be taken from local projects and built out to a national or an international level. One of those is the way of doing consultation in ways that bring people in and make them feel elevated. Another is the real importance of engaging at a local level with local policymakers and ensuring the change that happens at a place where people will see it.
Roots and Futures definitely help facilitate collaboration with communities to kind of empower and uplift their voices.
It all comes back to belonging. People must feel this is their city, it is their home. You have to feel comfortable walking through the streets, not just because you're safe, but because there are things that anchor you into the fabric of the city.